Hello, Redwall survivor. Foxpen here, bringing you more Mossflower Odyssey 4 top 30 character reviews. The first category we're going to look at today is the beast who may or may not be crazy. This category is kind of a wild card. It was added after the fact. Applications have been opened when the category popped up as an additional bonus, so this is going to be a very interesting one. I'm not sure how it's going to play out in the contest. We're going to have a look at the applications here, and we have three. We have, starting off, Azalea. She's a whiptail snake. She's 32. Alright. Ro is met with darkness as he plunges into the cave. He finds himself wet with rain and short of breath after the long run here. Finding this cave is as much a boon as the storm outside to cover his tracks. Leaning against the wall, the marten relaxes, slowly sliding down onto his rump. They will never find me here. They will never find me here. He mutters as if repetition will make it come true. You know. Rose becomes alert as something stirs in the darkness. It is customary to knock before entering one's home. Lightning strikes, the thunder drowning out even Rose's shriek of terror as the room and the snake charging at him are both illuminated. Wrapping tightly around his leg as Ro rises to flee, the creature's tail effortlessly lifts him off the ground before slamming him against the far wall like a bullwhip. The wind knocked out of him, Ro can only watch as the beast draws ever closer. Only the serpent's unblinking eyes can be seen swaying back and forth as the beast closes the distance. No! Get back! Get! Ro sinks even further into the wall to get away from the beast, his words falling flat as the snake thrusts its tail towards his head and tapping him lightly on the nose. Boop! Ro blinks slowly. Words fail him as the snake chuckles. So sorry, but the look on your face is priceless. Now. The snake uses her tail again to press against Rose's chest, her forehead pushing against his own as she says, You were going to tell Azalea why you break into her home, yes? Ro lets out a small squeak. So slavers. I was looking for a place to hide from slavers. I didn't mean to trespass. Please, The snake begins to coil around the marten, causing him to gasp. Why does the little marten thing shiver and fret so? Are you afraid? The snake says in what might be an attempt to be soothing. The marten's whine is all the snake needs to hear for answer. You have Azalea confused for barbarian adder, yes? But Azalea is no adder. Marten does not need to fear poisons. Azalea does not have. Azalea waits until the marten seems to relax before adding happily, No, Azalea is Whiptail. Whiptails love martens. You are so soft and cuddly. Azalea just wants to squeeze you to pieces. Ro gasps as Azalea gives him the viper equivalent of a bear hug, forcing the breath from his lungs and filling his ears with the sound of his own cracking ribs. Stop! Wait! He managed to say once the snake loosens her grip on him, if only for the moment. Please don't kill me. We can work something out. The snake silences Ro with a steady glare. Marten is not going to try and bargain its way out of this, are you? A beat goes by until Azalea squeals in delight, because Azalea loves it when beasts try that. It can get so boring here. Oh, riddles! Let's try a riddle. Marten likes riddles, right? I do now, Marten gulps. And you won't kill me if I guess the riddle? Snake's honor. I will not kill Marten, Azalea assures him. Her grin is wide as a Cheshire cat. But if you fail, I'm going to snap your spine like a twig, okay? Using her tail, she pats the marten on the head and begins her riddle. What lives in the land of the looking glass? There are feet but no legs. There is a moon but no stars. There is double letters, the marten says quickly. Ah! You fool! The answer is... Azalea pauses, her eyes narrow as far as they can. You cheated. I did not. You so cheated! Cheater! You have heard this riddle before. With a smug look, the marten replies, Now, don't try to wiggle your way out of this. A deal is a deal. You promised not to kill me if I got it right, and I won fair and square. Remember, snake's honor. Azalea growls, Fine, have it your way. However, instead of releasing the marten, her coils only tighten around him. Well, what are you doing? You promised to let me go! You are mistaken, marten. Azalea only agreed not to kill you, not eat you. Ro's eyes widen with horror. Before he can argue technicalities, Azalea begins to devour him. Alive. Oh, that was fun. Whiptail snake. I wonder. We very rarely see reptiles, let alone snakes, in Redwall Survivor contests. So this is nice. This is refreshing, and she's obviously strong. She flips a marten around like she's wielding a bullwhip with her tail, like the application says. So she could be, a contender in the Gladiator ring, which is the central plot starting point of Mossflower Odyssey 4. This is really cool. Okay, a few spag mistakes. Ro's name is misspelled a few times throughout the applications. There's a few little ditties here and there. That doesn't really bother me though. This is such a creative, interesting character. I don't know if she's insane or if she's just silly. This character could have fit into either category. The beast who may or may not be crazy or the silly beast. On that note, it's almost too silly. The boop, it's kind of weird to see in Redwall competition. We've seen weirder though, so really it's not that big a deal. It's just kind of, that's a little out of place. And I was giving her an accent that just slowly became kind of Khajiit because she's very sibilant. She's a snake. That's fine. I've played an owl, Noonahootin. He hooted in casual conversation. That's fine. That's just a gimmick of the species. It's fun. It just adds an extra dimension to the contest. But her sibilance was inconsistent, so just something to note, Azalea, if you get in, just try and rein in that sibilance. Give your character a voice that, isn't Amadeus, the viper we all know and love from the original Redwall cartoons, because that's exactly where my accent was coming from. Amadeus, or Asmodeus rather. Anyway, also she likes to play games. Azalea, definitely the snake. She plays games. She plays with her food. Once again, I don't know if that's insane. Cats do that. There was an incident in Journey to Carrigul where Nika, she was literally playing with Noonahootin's feathers. Like, some predator species just play with their food. So, I don't know if that qualifies for insane. This character is definitely silly. I'll give her that. I don't know if she may or may not be crazy, but I guess that's part of the mystery that's supposed to be there. We'll see. If you get in, make sure your character shows a little more of that. Is she crazy? Is she insane? Kind of enigma. Otherwise, your character's just silly. Anyway, congratulations for getting in the top 30. Azalea, good for you. I really like your species. That's fun. Snakes are awesome. I love snakes. And I'm going to move on to the next character now. So we have Leota Nettlekin. She is a squirrel. She's 65. And I gotta admit, I saw Vizon's avatar of this character, and it blew my mind right away. I actually rushed to the Beast Who May or May Not Be Crazy based on that avatar. And I read Leota first, because Vizon's avatar is just absolutely hilarious. So let's take a look at Leota Nettlekin. The pudgy wildcat with brass buttons and his assistant, a rat, sauntered down the dank, mouldy underground halls of St. Alfie's home for troubled beasts. Screams echoed down the narrow passageways to deteriorating brick walls. The proprietor, a toad, cracked his whip at the beasts behind the bars, reaching out to touch the first company they had seen in months. Some shrieked wildly and beat their heads. Others stared catatonically. A shrew repeated the word fire. An elderly mink dressed in a blue nightgown sucked her thumb and grasped a doll. A young weasel pleaded with them. "Take me, please. You can kill me. Please kill me." What the wildcat snorted and rolled his eyes. I'm looking for a fighter, not a corpse. The rat echoed his master. Yeah, a fighter. That's all you got, Truggy, 'cause we ain't buying it. The toad shrugged and motioned forward. They walked on. A lizard chewed his tail. A sparrow flew circles around a cramped cell. A mouse in a monk's habit shouted at them with wide glowing eyes. Die, vermin! It is I, Martin the warrior! The toad struck the mouse with his whip. The wildcat looked at the rat, rolled his eyes, and they turned around to leave. Then a voice stopped them from the end of the hall. Yoo-hoo! Over here, dearies! An older silver-tailed squirrel smiled. She put down her knitting and waved at them from her cell. Would you travelers care for some tea? The toad pointed and nodded. The two approached the iron bars of the cell. Her radiant smile glowed back at them as she reached around the bars and effortlessly picked the lock with her knitting needles, swinging open the iron door for them. Come on in, sweeties. I know you've come quite the way to see me. Don't be shy. Let's have a chat. They entered incredulously as the toad motioned them in. The floor was carpeted with soft pelts. Hot coal sat glowing in the corner inside a stove made from broken bricks. A book sat open on a small table. Go on, sit down, she smiled warmly. She pulled the seats up for them, upholstered with hand-spun wildcat fur. The rat sat down, and then quickly got up, startled, upon realizing the upholstery covered a sizable, polished badger skull. Oh, please don't worry about Mrs. Malchazar, the squirrel reassured him. She won't mind. We were roommates for the longest time. We shared everything. She laughed gaily. Her two guests took their seats as she set out two knitted doilies, followed by two bright white teacups. She poured a hot, dark liquid out of a kettle hand-painted with blue flowers. The cat and the rat looked at one another. The squirrel gently stirred a pink syrup into her own tea with a mouse femur. Now I know what you're here for, Lord Gildefang. You want a reliable, practical slave, and I want you to know I'm simply delighted to join you. I will just need a few hours to pack up my things. She had many things to pack. Colorful sweaters in many sizes hung from the ceiling. Shelves, constructed from a mixture of mud and rib cages, covered one wall. Upon them sat plates and utensils and containers of herbs, as well as sculptures of nuts, trees, and a modest country house, all meticulously carved from bone. Knitted tapestries decorated the other wall, showing images of 2 older squirrels, 6 middle-aged squirrels, 24 baby squirrels, and agrarian scenery. I believe Mr. Trogwebb's price for me is very reasonable, but I'm happy to demonstrate my housekeeping skills if you'd like. The rat and the wildcat were staring at something else. Half a stoat sat in the corner. The blood was fresh. Oh, I'm so sorry. It must have been a long journey for you dears. Have you eaten? I ain't had a bite all day, the rat grumbled in his master's hearing. The squirrel stood up. Oh, you poor Dibbons. Yes, of course. I can cook up Mr. Vletspar for you if you'd like. He had the most delightful wild mushrooms growing in his cell to eat, so he's quite tasty, not stringy like most of his kind. Revolted, the rat vomited onto the beaver pelt on the floor. The wildcat handed a few silver coins to the toad before leaving. Deliver it tomorrow, he growled. Look forward to getting to know each other better soon, she yelled after them. Oh, okay, Leota. Okay, I see what all the fuss is about. This is a fun, quirky, gut-wrenching character. Kind of the same thing with Azalea, the beast who may or may not be crazy. Leota, you're clearly crazy. Nobody just eats other people and then makes shelves out of the ribcage unless there's some serious issue going on upstairs. But that's okay because she at least seems to be all there. It's not like she's out of her mind, like the shrew muttering fire over and over again. But yeah, so she's definitely crazy. May not be crazy, you're definitely crazy. But that was cool. It was really interesting. I wonder how an old 65-year-old cannibal granny who knits and makes model homes out of bones is going to figure out a gladiator ring. This character's going to have to be very manipulative, I think, in order to survive the contest reasonably. Otherwise, you're going to get to a scenario where you have to fight, and it's just like, how are you going to realistically get your character out of that situation? She's also been institutionalized for what I'm assuming, based on the amount of rubbish she keeps around. I shouldn't say rubbish, she actually seems very meticulous and tidy. But the amount of paraphernalia she has in her cell seems to be quite a lot. So she's been there a while. I'm going to assume she's out of shape. The treatment in the asylum is terrible, so definitely she seems to be eating well, but eating better than her roommate did, at least. The badger skull, I like that. That was a cute touch. On that note, there is a lot of description going on in this app, and I feel we don't actually know a lot about Leota herself, except that she's crafty with her paws. She makes little models. She knits. She's perhaps painted her teapot. She's got that family portrait. I assume it's a family portrait and not like a victim's ledger. Please don't be a victim's ledger. That's a lot of babies. So yeah, there's a lot of description. You paint a lovely scene of the asylum. Very lovely indeed. The room, the cell sounds amazing. The furniture, the wildcat, the hand-spun wildcat art. Damn. But like I said, I really don't know who Leota is. So, definitely you have a 750 word selection to kind of work with, but we need to know who your character is by the end of that. So just food for thought, more characterization. Next on the list of the beast who may or may not be crazy, we have Kentigern MacRaff. I hope I'm saying that right. As usual, I do apologize for butchering any and all names of top 30 applicants. Kentigern is a Highland hare, and he's 26 years old. The tarnished metal in Kentigern's paws glimmered but faintly in the subdued flicker of candlelight. His eyes lingered on the metal for a moment before raising to look fondly at the young hare, legs dangling off the edge of the bed perched before him. He offered her a small smile. "See this medal?" he asked. "This belonged to your gran. D'ye ken how she got it?" "Aye," the young hare responded with a grin. "She fought in a black siege of Sally Manderstone." Her enthusiasm solicited a fond chuckle from Kentigern. "Aye, she sure did. She stood at the gate of Salamandastron with the old badger lord and drove out the horde of Gardug the Beater. Your gran was a fearsome warrior. She slew dozens of vermin that day." He paused briefly and placed a paw on her head. "I'll have to leave now." He raised the medal with tender paws and pinned it to her dress. "Here, take this. You're a braw bonny lass like your gran, and she'd want you to have it." She looked at the medal, eyes wide, before frowning. "But will ye nae come back home soon?" "Ach, I canna say for sure, bairn," he sighed. "But when I do, I'll be comin' home with some mair of these, I promise. Got to bid now, lassie." He gave her a final smile before blowing out the candle and submerging the room in dark. The door shut with a gentle sigh to echo Kentigern's own melancholy exhalation. He paused for a moment to recollect himself. "I don't know just what you think you're doing." "I don't know just what you think you're doing." He looked up to meet a gaze simultaneously obdurate like the granite face of a mountain and piercing like twin daggers boring accusatorily into his skull. Behind the glare, his wife stood with her paws perched irately on her hips. Kentigern greeted her with a disparaging smile. "Bonny, my bonny lass, I dinna think ye ken why they're so angry." At this statement her glare only intensified. "Oh, you'd best be believing I'm angry, Kentigern MacRaff, and I know full well why as well, and don't expect to find this door open when you come back." "Ugh, you're just—" he began. "No," she interrupted. "What you're just doing is leaving me and your dimon to go on some wild crusade that nobody asked you to. What did these beasts do to you anyway?" Her voice became tinged with a pleading note. "Look, Bonnie," said Kentigern, "I ken you're raised in Mossflower, and I ken I see things different there. But I also ken that I'm of the oldest island warrior stock. I've got the blood of justice running through my veins." He paused, eyes flaming like hellgates. "I canna stand by while vermin are rewarded for their evil. You ken the old stories. Murder, pillage, burn. All the death and destruction of Mossflower and the Northlands. It's them." "Times have changed, Kenty. They aren't like that anymore. When was the last time a horde even appeared? Seasons ago, before either of us were born." "That ain't what your ma would have said. I ken she'd my mother," seethed Bonnie, "was as crazy as you, except she had an excuse." "Ain't an excuse, lass. It's the brass sacrament of the North. She futilely shook her head in frustration. I'm sick, she said, of your justification. Leave if you want. If you come back, you'll wish you died in that arena. I can guarantee you that. He nodded and moved to grab his bag and claymore. As he brushed by his wife, he stopped to look at her one last time. They deserve this. I can't you kente. The glare didn't soften. Go. As she uttered that single word, she resolutely turned her back to him. Kentigern paused at the door. Tell wee Bonnie to be braw. Tell her that'll Paul be home soon. His plea was met with silence. Bonnie, tell her. Bonnie remained with her back to him. Place? Again he was overwhelmed by emptiness of the air. He bowed his head, and with a sigh he stepped out into the night and was swallowed by the dark. Bonnie the Bunny, is that a reference to Five Nights at Freddy's by chance? Probably not. Fantastic accent, Kenty. I had a lot of fun reading that. Rather, you did a really good and consistent job writing that. Strongly reminds me of Vanessa Fern from Mossflower Mossflower Odyssey 1, Journey to Carrigul. She too had that Highland accent. It's hard to write, so don't get intimidated and don't lose your confidence. Also, don't get carried away because that can put you in a bad spot too. So once again, no, the Beaster may or may not be crazy. Kentigern doesn't actually come across as crazy to me. He comes across as a dreamer. So he's I don't know if he's crazy, but he's fighting for honor, he's fighting for blood, he's fighting for something that he deeply believes in that his wife disagrees with. Does that make him crazy? Yes. Don't ever disagree with your wife. Who do you think you are, dude? But in all seriousness, I don't think this character's crazy. I'd be interested to watch him, definitely. I'd love to see him in a competition. However, this was not the category to apply for Kentigern, in my opinion, of course. Please feel free, everyone, to argue with me. I love that. By all means, we all have our own opinion, and I'm, once again, not here to step on anyone's faces over it. But it just, this character, he doesn't come across as crazy. He doesn't even, there's no possible way he could be crazy if this bit of literature was the only thing I'd ever have to know about this character, which at the moment it is. If you get into the competition, you're really going to have to push that whole, like, is he a dreamer? Is he legitimately just, like, nuts, clinging desperately to the hope of a reborn past culture, warrialism and feudalism and warriorlism. That's a real word, alright. So yeah, great app, Kentigern. Really nice writing. You develop your characters through a lot of dialogue, and I love to write dialogue. It's a tool that a lot of writers are intimidated by, but it's so great. It's one of those things where you just need to do, and you've definitely got a handle on that. So to summarize the category as a whole, we have 3 beasts of varying species and ages. That's fantastic. It's a good widespread. The only thing is, in this wildcard category, none of the beasts seem particularly ambiguously crazy. Like, they could be crazy or they could not be. Who knows? You either seem silly, you seem just insane, or a dreamer. So this category could have been stronger, pushing that enigma of sanity a little bit more to the line, but they're all very well written apps, and really that's what it comes down to. We get 750 words to learn who these characters are. The writers are trying to cram as much as they can to get noticed without seeming cluttered, and it's very hard. 750 words when you're trying to get into a multi-week long contest against amazing writers, it's not a lot to work with. And the writing was all strong. Just in terms of crazy or not crazy, none of these apps particularly struck me as strong apps for the category. I can see them all in other categories. Maybe it shouldn't have been, the beaster may or may not have been crazy to add at the last minute, but some other kind of category perhaps would have better suited these top 30 picks. I'm not sure what other kind of applications were submitted to the category either, so who knows. All in all, Strong apps, just an interesting category. It might prove to be crazy.